let's start this out with a rouse. Not you, Naomi. You're
Oh,
you're not in
Predisposed, as it were.
you're not in real time.
okay.
Yeah.
We need to kill the sound on this.
Success.
JK starting off with the success. I don't think you ever get hungry.
No.
Alex is
What do you
perpetually
mean?
cursed with Vaughn's curse now.
I was at hunger 4 last session.
There was like a few sessions there where we started off and it was fine. Then Vaughn infected me with his curse. So now it's like every time I'm getting hungry. Alex is losing it, you know?
You have to figure out how he transferred it so you can transfer it to
Right,
someone else.
exactly. Trying to purge myself of it. It's through the tea, I'm pretty certain.
Yep.
I'm sending JK a fidget spinner.
Nice.
I think Alex, you're just back to 1, right?
Yeah, I'm just back to 1.
All right. JK, you wake without any issue in your haven where, well, you have a house guest at the moment, Morgan. You invited her home. When you wake, she's still in torpor or sleeping, because her humanity is a bit lower than yours, and she sleeps in. I don't know where you put her, but I assume somewhere discreet, and not in your living room or anywhere close to Vara either. I assume.
Yeah, just in a coffin in some separate room.
Well, she's quite used to sleeping in coffins, so that's good. But she is stiff as a corpse when you wake. And to everyone else's knowledge, or at home, there's obviously been measures put in place to retrieve Naomi. One of those measures is obviously Albert has to assist with this. And he should be around this evening. And what he told you to prepare, JK, is just a powerful circle that might ward off any unintended visitors from the abyss as you pull Naomi out. And to your knowledge, Victor is in charge of locating her. You're not aware if he has or not. But I assume you do your daily routine or nightly routine?
Yes,
or do you have
go and check around everything and make sure that nothing has been moved in the week that I was gone.
Well, there's a few calls, but for your business, or not calls, but like submissions for, handling dead people. But since you were not available, they have probably been moved to someone else, because a corpse has an expiration date, unless you're you. But to most kind, at least. After you're done with your nightly routines, you hear Morrigan somewhere moving around.
I'll go and find some clothing from some leftover corpses and make sure that she has something nice to dress in.
When you enter the room where she's in, she's currently painting herself with some kind of blue paint. It looks like war paint to you. But just sitting there, butt naked, and drawing symbols and things on herself. She smiles as you enter and says evening, in Latin, of course, because that's the only common tongue you speak.
Good evening. I brought you some clothes in case you didn't want to walk around naked.
I assume it's still not polite.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't have any issue with it, though.
Well, most kind do, sadly, so I recommend putting something on, and I give her some options so that she can choose herself.
I assume it's still a breach of the blood laws to walk around naked in the winter, so...
Yes. And JK will, after having handed off the clothes and letting her do her own thing of getting dressed and stuff. He'll go and make sure that he has all the ingredients he need for his ceremonies that he will have to perform later.
I can't remember what those are exactly, but
I believe I need a silver chain and some blood.
yeah. That's how I remember it as well. When you gather the things, you hear the squawking of a bird at some point, and tapping on a window. And when you come back into the room where Morrigan was, there's a very large black raven sitting at the window, tapping it with its beak.
I'll go over and open it
And
let her.
She flies out into the night.
Okay. Bye. And Jake will just let the window be ever so slightly open, I guess, in case she wants to come back.
She squawks as a farewell. And about that time, there's a knock on your door. I assume you hear the bell from like the front of the store as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it is Albert, as expected.
Jake will go and open the door. Good evening.
Evening, child. I've made the necessary preparations, but I believe you need to gather your warlock and who else wants to attend.
I believe I have to, yes. And Jake will pull out his phone and, looking like an old person, try and go through it and try to find Alex's number to call it.
Albert looks just as confused as you do.
And when JK finally finds it, he'll call and just like kind of hold the phone in every wrong way possible.
Alex, your phone rings.
It rings. Yes.
Hello?
JK.
Did I do this right? Yes, yes.
I believe you have established a secure connection. Yes.
Lovely. Albert has arrived at my haven. Where should we meet up for later?
Let's just meet at my place.
Okay, we'll be on our way shortly.
Sounds good. I'll see you then.
Is there anything you want to do before you head there, JK?
Just triple check that Vara's corpse has not moved.
She's still there.
Lovely.
In her glass casing.
That's it, yes. And then JK will show Albert the way back out, and they'll start heading to Alex's.
Do you take a cab or do you walk?
Walk.
Gonna take the air.
Alex, you are, at your place.
Indeed.
And Victor arrives quite hastily with a large bag of, things that rattle and you hear glass and bones, you think. He's not his usual self. He's looking a bit frazzled, and he looks around for a large table to put things.
Alex he's going to walk in, assuming he's able to. The wards are not activated or anything at this point, and he's going to find that Alex is, of course, standing and staring out his balcony window, looking over the ongoing construction of his latest major project, and as well as its nice view of London beyond. He's got his hands clasped behind him, and he hears of course Victor come in, and a little bit. I mean, I'm fine if you're gonna let me hear this. He's going to hear him and recognizes his footsteps and everything, and without turning around, he says, "Good evening, Victor."
Evening, my prince.
And he's going to turn around and So, what can I help you with tonight? My dear Tremere advisor.
I have gathered what I believe is the necessary scrying ingredients for locating our dear Primogen.
Excellent.
What I will
I'm glad
need
to hear that.
I will need a large surface area to conduct my experiments.
Okay. And he will immediately, call up Mr. Harris, and have him come up. Bring a team. He's just going to get back on the phone. Bring a team to come up and clear a space. We need some space to work up here. He's not going to do it himself. He's getting quite used to ordering people around. So, yeah, that's going to happen.
Well, Mr. Harris arrives with about 6 muscly guys, and they move around, I assume, in one of the boardrooms, pushing the table against the wall and clearing a space with these very heavy metal furniture, at least some of it, perhaps heavy wood here and there.
And Alex will look to Victor just to make sure it meets his specifications and can I look for a signal that everything is as he needs it to be? Or he says, do you need anything else that would facilitate what you're about to do, or anything like that?
Just some peace.
I see. Would you like to be alone?
Just not disturbed while I'm doing my sorcery.
Alex is going to observe then, because he's interested in this. This is something that he's had a more than passing interest in, and he is deeply interested and curious about the workings of blood magic. So
he smiles at your interest and your incentive to do it yourself.
Indeed, he's definitely intently focused on this to take in, learn the different ways that Victor is about to work his magic. Is Darius anywhere in the vicinity?
Well, he's usually within earshot.
Yeah. So he won't call out to him or anything. He'll just assume that Darius is kind of lurking around too. So
the first thing he pulls out is it looks like a crystal ball, but it's not transparent. It's just filled with black smoke, it seems like. And he puts it out in a just a holder for it, so it does not roll anywhere. Then a bowl with he spreads around some bones. They do not look human. It looks like chicken, maybe fish, small bones. Maybe a cat or something here and there, but you're no expert in that kind of thing. And some a large what's it called, like a washing bowl, where he fills it with blood and puts various herbs and plants in there, and starts incantations on different things. You see the bones start to move around. They do not necessarily create a picture, but they establish some kind of pattern. And the same with the plants in the blood. They steady themselves. They do not float around. And after about 30 minutes, the crystal ball becomes a bit clearer, but it's still dark. But you see Naomi's stiff, lifeless corpse surrounded by void.
Surrounded by, I'm sorry.
Void, just emptiness. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's nothing around her. And the only thing you can see vaguely from where you're standing, but you of course recognize her, is just her hanging mid-air horizontally with her limbs a bit falling down, so it looks like there's gravity. Victor, he not excitedly, because he is still worried, but he says, "Got her."
Excellent.
And takes up the ball, holds it in his hand, and I have the connection now. Now we just need Albert, I guess, or JK. At that notion, your comm phones or internal phones, they beep, and your secretary says that Mr. JK has arrived with another gentleman. Should I let them up?
Yes, send them up. Make sure they are escorted here.
JK, you're escorted by Mr. Harris and his team. Well, 2 of them, because elevator only takes up so much space. Or you guys in the elevator, and arrive at a cleared boardroom. You recognize some of the rituals, not that you're able to do them yourself, but it's common scrying things from like divination and dowsing. And Victor is holding the orb in his hand, where you can see Naomi floating, tiny, but you see it's her. And he looks at Albert, Victor, that is, and says, "It's good to see you again. It's been a while." And Albert just nods and says, "Victor?" There's no clear emotion between them. It's just very timid. And it's not friendly or hostile. It's very neutral. And Victor says, "Do you believe you can pull it off?" And Albert has a slight smile and says, "Of course. But we need to go somewhere else. If you can hold that connection for that long." Victor looks not offended, but his eyes squint for a moment at the notion.
Right.
And
right. Alex does too. His eyes are kind of narrowed. He's giving the fry look at him.
We need to go to the Tower Hamlet Cemetery. The shroud is incredibly thin there. And
might have mentioned that ahead of time, but okay.
Why? I'm here to help. Are you sure this is not a waste of our time? He looks at you, JK.
No, we need to get her back.
If you say so. He's just waiting, and Victor is like, "Then let's get going then."
Alex is going to arrange for a nice black full-sized SUV to make sure that we can transport ourselves relatively inconspicuously. Those kinds of vehicles are typically official vehicles. A lot of government vehicles are like that, so it shouldn't be too conspicuous. He'll make sure that they are able to get there from the most concealed exit from the building. Part of the construction is making sure that there is a way to facilitate that, so that we don't have to deal with ongoing exuberant and enthusiastic fans who may be waiting for Alex's every appearance from the compound. So, yeah.
Fortunately, it is a weekday and in the middle of the night. So
that doesn't stop some people. So
that does not stop some people, and you are of course prepared for that. Before you leave, you hear Darius whisper in your ear, "We'll meet you there." And as you exit, before you step into the car, you look up and see a white owl above you, watching from the skies.
And he's going to just kind of wink and nod, it's kind of like a, I see you there too, and glad you're with us type of thing. So, yeah. So in prompt business-like fashion, with Alex leading the way, they'll pile into the vehicle, as it were. And of course, Alex will give the driver directions to the aforementioned cemetery.
It's pretty much directly north from the Thames, where I want to call it the fortress is located. And you arrive at the Tower Hamlet Cemetery. It's of course closed during the night. It's fenced in. It's a nature park filled with graves from, I believe, the early 1800s up until the Second World War, where it was turned into a nature park. It's dark, except for the street lights around it. And waiting for you at the entrance is Darius and Marin. And as soon as you step out of the car, Darius looks at Marin and says, scout the perimeter. And she disappears into the shadows. And he's just waiting for you to get to him, basically. With orders or... Victor has been the whole car ride here. His eyes were mostly closed and he's very focused on the orb.
Before she sends Marin away, is there an opportunity for Alex to speak to her?
Yeah, you're like 5 meters away. So you can just like
He's
wave.
going to walk up and he is going to look her directly in the eyes and say that we need to have a conversation. Sooner rather than later, just you and me.
Is it about prying into my personal life again?
It's about things that may be affected by your personal life, particularly your availability here in this domain, as well as what future roles you might be able to serve. So if your personal life interferes in those, that may come up. But no, I'm not interested in your personal life in so long as it allows you to be on hand when called.
She squints her eyes and says, my personal life left for America. There should be no issue.
I'm glad to hear that. Then it will be as I anticipate, a profitable and productive and a friendly conversation. But I expect you to be there. he makes it kind of clear in that final sentence, like,
She bows,
my people will be in touch and let you know.
arms out wide, and steps into a shadow and disappears.
Indeed.
Darius says, I've also had a talk with her about duties.
Good.
I think it's the anarch philosophy we have to extract from her.
I agree. And I like to do things via conversation.
She has too many affiliations.
I agree. We are of like mind as we have been, Darius, and I'm pleased by this. So,
Well, my first priority is your security, so...
yeah, of course. And that is my first priority as well. So, yeah.
Where do you want me, my prince, for this?
Where you are most needed. And he's going to look around to everyone else in attendance. And, what he means by that statement is if Darius is needed, because we're not exactly just kind of taking a walk in the park here. If he is needed and would be more helpful to both Alex's security as well as to the effectiveness of completing and accomplishing this mission, then he wants Darius with him. If not, and if he would be better served maintaining the perimeter along with Marin and securing everything while this ritual is performed, then that's what he will have him do. So he'll explain everything there, but basically he's going to weigh the odds of where Darius is most needed and direct him thus.
I won't be far.
Excellent.
Not further than I can blink. He smiles a bit.
Yeah.
And disappears, not like Marin into the shadows, but with obfuscate. Albert is looking around as this is taking place and looking at you, JK, and he asks again, are you sure about this?
Yes. She accidentally fell in while we were just traversing. She, like the rest of us, deserves to be out here.
I sense she's a good friend, then.
You could say that, yes.
And Alex is going to walk up and go, she's also the primogen. We need her back.
I care little for your politics, but I get what you're saying. He walks to the gate and pushes it open. It's not even locked. And Naomi, you wake. The last thing you remember is touching an obelisk in some strange, weird, labyrinthian space or realm, where you were pulled in by this hand that felt like tar, and you heard from within the obelisk Victor shattering his bones, almost hammering on it and screaming after you, frenzying, and then you, well, fainted, which is weird for you, but you wake floating in void. There's nothing around you, it's completely silent. Obviously you have no breath or anything, but there's no sound in here. And you can't see anything, even with your heightened senses. Only yourself.
She's only had one experience similar to that, and it was one of those sensory deprivation chambers where she floats in water. And in this time, but she felt like she was almost drowning. She comes up as if she breaks the water, trying to grab air. Almost similar to like a internal flashback she had when she was being saved from the bridge crash, where she first actually became a vampire, on her way to the her graduation. She wakes. Unfortunately, this time she was quite alone, scared, and unable to scream as much as she would have liked to.
Is she missing James? Or do you prefer him not to be there?
There could have been, I guess. Yeah, the sensation of her turning was almost like a flash through her mind. And yeah, she almost felt delirious from that moment, but she shook her head, being distracted by the absolute darkness that would grab all the light that was around her in any way. She felt like this was like a version of hell she's never really experienced before.
Well, you're floating in there and you start to hear a voice. A woman's voice.
Okay.
And well, your inner ear is a bit fucked, but you feel like you're standing up all of a sudden.
Okay.
And then you hit solid ground. Not like crashing into it, but like you're levitating and then standing on it.
Okay.
Where you see because of your senses, a figure in the dark. What's most clear about her is her blood red hair.
Okay.
She's standing with her back turned to
you. Naomi, as if she was trying to get vertical in water, she was able to kind of stumble, but which it's not. She knows celerity very well. It's not something she often does, is stumble, but by planting her feet firmly on the ground, she notices the presence of the figure and kind of looks to her at the distance and is like, is this the girl from the painting that she saw?
at Elaine's gallery?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay. And then she's looking through all the faces that she knows up to this point.
When you get closer, she turns around. I've sent you a picture in Discord.
Okay.
Well, she's quite scary looking. What's it called? Celera? It's completely black. She has no iris or anything like that. She's smiling, but it's not a friendly smile. It's very sleazy, very intimidating. And she's just, you're about, what you feel is 10 meters away from her, but you also feel like with each step you take, you move way more than you should.
Oh.
And she's just sort of gesturing for you to come closer.
Does she have her bag on her?
Yeah, you have all these things.
Okay. I guess the atmosphere is kind of like the only thing she would even had decent accents to this kind of presence was only really in the presence of, I guess, JK. Would that be
Oh,
like that's the atmosphere?
This is completely unfamiliar.
Okay. She tries to kind of like search for her bag, kind of keeping an eye out on her, and having her. Can I grab my daggers if possible?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she lashes them on, but in a defensive position where it kind of like crawls up her arm, like holding them backwards. And so Naomi puts back her bag and then just kind of like takes a step and then tries to get quicker. Is there resistance to her? To Naomi's movement in the atmosphere?
It's just space and time is weird in here.
Okay.
You're a scientist, so you notice it. It's like you expect yourself to move when you take one step towards her. You expect yourself to move maybe like 3 feet.
Okay.
But this is more like 6 with each step, so it's like you're floating towards her. And even though you feel the ground is solid beneath you, it's completely black, and you can't tell where the floor ends or where it goes to.
Okay.
She looks at you with pulling out the daggers and says, "You needn't be afraid, child. I'm not here to hurt you, just here to talk. I don't get visitors often."
Okay, so I guess she kind of slows down her pace until she tries to get as probably like 2 or 3 feet away from her. But she says back to her, "Well, these daggers are an extension of myself." And then when she gets close, she kind of stops and looks around and is like, "Who are you?"
I have many names, but Ramnorsia. You can do an occult if you want to, or even academics.
Yeah. Okay.
With intelligence.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go occult. There you go. No mods.
Does not ring a bell, unless you want to reroll 2 of them.
Sure.
I think you did the entire roll again.
Oh, okay. Oops. Oh yeah, I forgot to do it on the actual sheet. Give me a moment.
Just do a willpower reroll and then type 2.
Okay. Perfect. There you go.
Goes to 3. When you think about it, the Greek goddess of vengeance.
Naomi almost glares at her, being like, "No way."
She smiles because it's like she's peering into your soul and says, "Yes, way." You feel like she's speaking to you, but it's more. She's moving her mouth and everything, but it's more telepathically. She's speaking in language terms that you would understand.
Okay. Yeah, she kind of feels the voice coming from within inside her, and at this point she's very convinced this is very similar to what she's experienced in like a lucid dreaming before, but she does not recognize her whatsoever. So she's gonna go with the dream she's experienced, at least that experience, and what do you want me to ultimately call you?
Well, I was told by one of your friends that Ramnorsia is a bit of a mouthful, so Irish hot would do.
Okay. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you.
She bows a bit.
She bows as well.
Why are you in here?
My bane tends to lead me places my consciousness wouldn't ultimately intend.
I smell my grandchild on you. Who are you to Scott?
Oh. I'm a co-worker in a sense. We have connections. We work under the prince, the new prince.
Prince. Oh, Camarilla, I see.
Yes.
She looks like she's thinking, and then says, I still wonder why or how you ended up in my cage.
I hope you're not hungry.
Oh, I'm far beyond that, my child. I have moved past the hungers of children of Cain.
Keep that in mind. I can she sense any power coming from her? Since her smile wasn't exactly welcoming, in a sense.
Well, you sense the unseen, you can see a certain type of energy, but it's not anything you've seen before. It's not
Shit.
like what JK has about him. It's not what Alex's building has about him.
Yeah.
It's something different.
She looks to her. May I serve you in any sense of what I'm capable of?
Well, it's nice to have someone to talk to. It can be quite straining locating and communicating with my bloodline, but I'm still trying to figure out why you're here.
Yeah,
But you
I'm not
say
one.
you have... It sounds like
Go on.
you've just stumbled into my prison. And you don't know where you are, which is also interesting, so it must be an accident. You're in the abyss, my dear. Or what some people call hell. I'm one of the fallen. Though through my own device, or I sought it myself.
Through your own will, it sounds. Well, I promise you, if I knew the obelisk, unfortunately, onyx is one of my favorite gems, and I just sensed there was quite something unique from the situation. My bane took over. I assure you, I am not one to trespass, especially without at least a written letter. That's why I think I at least owe you a sincere apology, even if it's through some sort of action.
Oh, don't worry,
I'll-
I'm not offended.
Okay.
I'm imprisoned. I welcome the company. But you might
Okay.
be able to get out. I don't know, I assume your friends, as you call them, do not abandon you. And if you get out, please talk to Scott. Perhaps
Interesting.
Nemesis. I know they have made contact. And
This whole time.
perhaps
Yeah.
give them a bit more incentive to hasten their quest. Time is
Interesting.
weird in here, but I do want to get out again, and it was not part of my plan when I assumed demonhood to be imprisoned.
Well, sounds like a bit of a tricky situation. Who, if it may, as legend may have said, would your imprisoner be someone who we may have to go against in order to free someone like yourself?
I very much doubt it, but there is a portal located beneath Londinium. A portal to the abyss.
Which is what we stepped through.
Oh, deeper.
Oh,
I know Scott was close to it and he failed to open it. I'm not happy about it. They were close to the door and they had the key and still they failed me. I assume there's a very good reason for this.
possibly. I know a bit of his story. Were you communing with him to ultimately gain your freedom?
Yes.
Because he would rather, frankly, be the last one that I would talk to. I know a couple other people that might be qualified, if not more.
He wants power.
Ah, okay.
Have you ever wondered about the demon mask and everything? It's in his blood. To walk the path that I do.
Interesting.
Along with her cousin, his cousin. But they're still young.
Yeah.
You hear a sound finally that's something different. Something that sounds like a thunderstorm
Okay.
above you. It's not really purple, but it's the closest color I can describe lightning above you. And then I'm gonna jump scene for a second.
Sure.
The rest of you are standing in the middle of this graveyard. JK, can you please do your ceremony roll?
With joy.
You are creating a perimeter around what Albus is trying to do, which is opening a portal. He's spreading bones around and dripping his blood in a circle. You've seen this before when you went to a certain store.
Alex is paying
yeah.
attention. He's also learning about this.
I will first do my rouses for the ceremony, because it has 3 rouse checks.
3?
Yes.
That's like aggravated health.
And then I will do my ceremony roll.
That should be enough. Well, you create the circle. You are obviously able to see it. I do not know if it creates a visible effect for others to see without Sense the Unseen, but I do not think so.
It's the chain.
Yeah.
It's lying around the circle.
Yeah, but there is no, oblivion visual effect, I think. But what Albert is doing...
Can Alex see it with Sense the Unseen?
Yes.
At all?
Very much so. You, there's sort of it's not a bubble, but it's a barrier of some sort. And Albert is creating a hole in the ground made of void, which opens from the middle of it, and it just expands to something that's about 12 feet, 4 meters in diameter. And you start to hear the tempest as well, because you've heard it before.
What does the tempest sound like again?
Lightning storms.
Okay.
It's what was above you the whole time when you walked around in the labyrinth.
No screaming of the damned or anything like that.
Nah, not yet anyways.
Okay.
And Albert continues his chanting, and Victor steps into the circle and starts to chant as well. Naomi, you hear Victor's voice, faintly, but like it's coming from really far away, echoing in the void, and he's just calling your name. Naomi, dear, can you hear me?
Naomi is scared, almost vibrating between like absolute shit scared of possibly being in front of an incredibly powerful person, and then also really excited to get the F out of here.
Irish Hut looks up at the storm brewing above you and smiles and says, I think your friends are here.
She's calm and cool, try not to...
Naomi, can you hear me?
She yells, yeah, what?
Actually hear faint, but from the hole, the rest of you, Naomi, calling out her voice.
Excellent.
One moment, demon. I'm here. Uppies.
Alex is going to step forward, not to interrupt the ritual or anything, and go, let's get her out.
Albert pulls out his hand above the hole. Naomi start to flow or ascend gently towards the lightning storm, which is not very comfortable or comforting.
The hell rapture.
You accelerate in speed. You feel like at least the demon below you is getting smaller and smaller, quite rapidly.
Pull me up, Scotty.
Before you hit the storm, you go through some kind of darkness and you fly out into a cemetery where the rest have gathered. And as soon as she flies out, there's these... I think the closest thing to describing it is spider legs that comes out of the hole after Naomi. And like
close it now
into the ground. Albert steps out of the circle, pushing JK back unless he can take the hint.
Yeah.
I'll walk backwards, yeah.
And the arms or the legs, it hits the barrier, and there's a not a flash, but a certain kind of energy erupts, and you hear a hiss from the hole below. And then it shuts, and the legs are pulled in. Victor embraces you as you, are on the ground, not in a kindred way, but in a normal way, as Alex pointed out before. A nice kind of embrace.
Yes, exactly.
And there's just a tiny red tear rolling down his cheek that only you can see and smell, Naomi, because you're that close.
Alex is going to come up and say, welcome back.
Well then,
we missed you.
Oh god, thank you. She obviously comes out, flies out of the air, is terrified to see the legs just underneath her.
Yeah.
Sees basically is trying to grab onto anything, and then basically hits what do you call it? Ventru. Not Ventru, sorry.
Victor?
Victor, yes, sorry. I knew it started with a V. Lands grapples him, it kind of takes a stance and tries to wipe off his clothes to make them nice again because they're probably really old and vintage. But the whole time is let's not ever do that again. And just kind of staring at that hole, like imagining those spider legs coming out, being like, no. They're scared and like there's too many things going on, but like kind of just ways to Alex, like, hey.
Yeah, yeah. And Alex would say, I'd love to know everything you've experienced in there, but when you're ready, obviously.
Victor puts his hands on just your face gently and kisses you on the forehead before he straightens himself back up, because he's the epitome of professionalism, and he does not want to show too much affection in front of others.
Yeah. With that level of PDA, she actually takes one of her just like a tissue of some sort and just kind of dabs his face a bit to make sure it also doesn't stain his clothes, but was like, oh, thank you.
He's smiling from ear to ear. Albert is looking around, very monotone and almost annoyed, and just saying, are we done?
Albert, you saw the legs, right?
Mm-hmm.
The spider legs?
Well, it's not a spider, but yes.
Would you care to elaborate?
Some kind of demon.
Actual, like, legitimate.
Well, they come in many size and shapes, but yeah, probably.
As in hell demon, as we understand it.
Well, the abyss, but yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. But we don't know which one.
I can find out if it's important, but
What would it take to find out, just out of curiosity?
well, I have an idea, and I can look through a few books, but
Please do. I would appreciate it.
I hope you're not looking for a new pet.
I'm not looking for that type of pet, no. Certainly not. I'm not crazy about just from what I saw, the legs or anything else. I'm not really crazy about things from hell, honestly, so.
They should be
Yeah.
avoided, and they tend not to like our kind.
We are of like mind then. And I'm sorry, he turns to Naomi, I'm sorry you were in there with it, apparently.
Yeah, so I've been running the math on how any of that could work. If the Bane is what got me in there, I'll definitely keep that on tabs next time. Let's not ever go that again. Plus, she looks around and JK, I know that may have been of your realm, to my understanding. There was someone who spoke to me. I need to get tabs. Also, I need Scott.
Why?
I have the same exact questions as you do. Your attendance
Okay.
can be there.
Okay. Fair enough.
Anyways, how are all of you?
Well, it's been about 100 years. No, I'm just kidding.
Looking good,
Flying
Prince.
cars and
Yes, exactly. It's like, yes, I do. Thank you. I've tried to maintain, the looks and everything as much as I possibly can. It takes a little bit of work these days, but no, he's just kind of rolling with the joke. And he says, no, but time passes a little differently in there, as we've come to discover. And we were, us at least, we were away for a week, out of character, for our ST. How many days have passed since our group got out and then this happened?
2, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Everything happened quite fast because you guys were like, that was your main focus, to get her out. And when you became aware of, okay, time is weird, we have to do this as fast as possible.
Fortunately, I can say that it's only been about 48 hours since we've emerged that we were able to get you out. We tried with post haste to get you free. And I'm intrigued, as well as a little bit disturbed by the possibility that you were locked in there with a giant spider-looking demon for that span of time. So you're good? Everything's okay? You're feeling okay? You're not feeling overly possessed or anything?
So she's gonna try to make a guess of what could have possibly happened just from like, I guess, scientific to what she can even fathom. But the magic when you guys tried to summon me could have made multiple levels accessible through that portal. For me, the abyss was that of just sheer darkness and of a ruled under a queen of some sort, a red-haired woman. But I did not witness such creature until my body escaped. So what you saw was exactly as of the moment what I saw, and it touched neither of us, which I'm quite thankful for. So let's just call that one a day. Let's forget that and possibly move on. I didn't know, like, I wasn't, when we went in that hole, I don't want to go to hell again, or a hell of that sort. JK.
We are of like mind in that regard.
Yeah. Good. Did you know any of this going into this?
No, I thought we were just heading into an underground basement.
All right, there it is. That's what it is. All right. Anyways, all of you, is there anything I need to know about you guys getting out? Because I didn't, apparently.
We never went to hell.
We narrowly avoided going to hell, potentially. There was, at the end of our journeys, we encountered a number of spirits, and he looks to JK, confirmation of the details. We encountered a number of spirits. I informed them of my praxis, as seems right, that I now rule this realm. They may not, in fact, be up on the affairs of this world, which I understand, but it's my duty to bring them up to speed with everything. They seemed less than compliant, which irritated me on some level. But I was able to compel them to my will from time to time. And then with JK's and his sire's help, and he points to Albert, and as well as a certain figure, a cousin of Killjoy's, I believe, or at least some associate of his, she appeared, was able to traverse through darkness of that kind and that nature, and able to help us get through, open up a portal of some kind, and we were able to step through. But it's my understanding it takes somebody of that invested with those sorts of powers to be able to navigate that realm in a more expedient way. We were wandering for quite some time after you had disappeared, and we tried to get you out after you were taken by what appeared to us to be a giant black hand. You were just literally like, and he'll make the motion of like, and pulled into a pillar of some kind. We contemplated and tried to break that pillar or to possibly get you out. But we were counseled that that was potentially not going to help matters. So we continued on and on, what seemed like weeks and months and years. It was certainly not a 3-hour tour. And so we eventually reached a place where there was a portal that I gathered would lead to a realm of particularly infernal entities that we had no interest in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Opening. We certainly have enough issues to deal with in London without adding extraplanar demonic influence to it.
Yeah, we have quite a bit on our plate. Thank you for explaining, my prince.
Indeed. And when you are ready to relate the events of your particular stay, I'm here. So.
Thank you. Um, yeah, the the woman you were referring to that has relations with Killjoy, that was of her domain.
Good to know. The files that away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Internally, Alex has questions for Killjoy. Yeah. He is grateful to we are grateful to have you back. You were missed, and we really regretted leaving you behind there, and our inability to get you out weighed on each of us heavily, I believe.
Yes, thank you. I would like to know, obviously I'm going to go to Victor and kind of like reverse the understanding of how to even conjure that kind of magic, but for the time being, I'm just thankful of the present moment. Um, she was quite courteous. She wished not for me to stay, but was very confused on how I even got there. I blamed my bane. Anything outside of that was more or less my conscience wasn't recording much, to say the least. So
That's
you guys
probably
seem
for
to
the
witness,
best.
yeah, witness a lot more than I did. But let's call that an end chapter. And
Well, we found
um,
a portal to the abyss,
okay,
and we saw a large demon, but apparently it was just Vaughn taking a piss, as usual. And we awakened a 2,000-year-old elder,
oh,
Celtic god of war,
Oh yes,
the
yes.
Morrigan, which I believe is staying with JK now to
oh,
teach her English.
okay,
She agreed to help us get out. We were pretty much at our wits' end with having any options of getting free of that place whatsoever. And he's going to turn to Victor as well as Albert and JK and go, "We need wards. We don't
yes,
want anything in or out of that place in the future. We really need to like up the warding."
yeah,
Yeah.
I believe we should still, and I have contacted her, Elaine, about the building. I mean, that was warded. But I assume you mean wards in the lower segments of...
Indeed. We want to make sure that things that are there stay there. With all due respect to certain members here who may enjoy the free passage of certain entities back and forth among realms, I do believe it's better if things are kept to their own places from here on out as much as possible. At least those sorts of entities.
It's within the realm of the Norse, Victor speaks.
okay.
And I believe you told Henry that you would like to meet a certain King of the Shadows, so...
More so than even before, yes.
That would be a good
needs to be explained.
thing to discuss with him, and even Henry didn't want to go in there. So I believe they are more knowledgeable about things that they are really saying, but that's not really a surprise.
Indeed.
Because we haven't paid anything, but maybe we could get some kind of information about this place.
I would hope so, and maybe we could bring home and emphasize the threat that such a thing poses to the general kingdom, as it were.
There's also the matter of the other 11 elders sleeping down there.
Yeah, I would like to not wake any of those up.
Well, apparently they're put there in case the portal opens
Okay.
to stop whatever may come out of it.
Probably for the best then.
They're not in torpor, they're in stasis, and which I believe is why the Morrigan didn't tear our heads off when she awoke.
Oh,
Right.
makes sense. Am I still starving?
What's your hunger?
I'm at 2.
You're okay. Bit peckish.
You could eat.
I made a few rolls here, and to you, Naomi, it sounds louder, obviously, but all of you hear what sounds like very, very forceful blows being thrown
Oh.
from within the trees, like fists, but well, more potent-ish, and then it stops, and you just hear, well, Darius appears and says, I believe someone is fighting Marin.
You believe that someone is fighting Marin?
Yeah, but you only hear like, it lasts a few seconds, but you hear like those very potent blows being thrown, and then it goes quiet.
Do we know where she is?
You hear it from within the trees, but it's kind of weird in here because it's trees everywhere and tombstones and mausoleums, so the sound is being thrown around a bit. You can make a wits and awareness, but Darius is pointing like somewhere over there.
Yeah, I would like to confirm that and point in a similar direction.
You can do wits and awareness plus your auspex. Obviously, this is quite loud to you. You hear the bones shattering
Oh, okay.
from the blows.
It's 3 successes.
Yeah, JK with 2.
How much would I add for Auspex? I think 2.
2.
Cool.
5.
Wow.
Well, yeah. He says somewhere around here. JK is more like, yeah, it's within this range. Alex, you quite agree with Darius, and Naomi, you're like, over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, Albert was about to leave, but now he's curious. He follows along, very slowly, but he follows along. What you see in the clearing is Marin and Nemesis staring down each other. Their faces are broken, or at least some of it, and you see them. They've been in a fight really fast, but right now they're just staring at each other. Like, yeah, a proper stare-down match. And not throwing any more blows because they've hit each other really, really hard.
What is the meaning of this? He's gonna step forward.
Marin, without looking at you, she's still having eye contact with Nemesis. It's like she was intruding on the perimeter. And Nemesis says, I was just fucking curious. Still with her very, very posh accent. I felt something, and I wanted to check it out, and you fucking blindsided me, you bitch.
Very clearly, you weren't invited
Invited to what?
to the enterprise we were engaged in tonight, the details of which I'm going to keep to myself. Had we needed you, we would have contacted you, I assure you.
Nemesis.
Marin was just doing what she was ordered to do. We wanted to make sure that the perimeter was secure from any other intruders, anyone else who wasn't invited here. I understand you may not have known that, but you got the treatment you deserved, Nemesis.
Naomi, you hear both of them, their bones are settling from beneath the skin as they're regenerating.
Okay.
And Nemesis, she takes a few steps back and looks at you, Alex, and says, I felt something, a portal being opened.
Indeed. We were rescuing one of our own who was trapped. And that's why.
Well, she looks at Mirren again. A simple conversation would have been enough.
Perhaps Marin was overzealous in her duties, but
She was sneaking around, Marin is saying.
yeah.
Fortunately, I can see her just as well as she can see me.
Nemesis, I've told you what we were doing here tonight. That's all you need to know. We appreciate your interest, but you're free to go.
She bares her fangs. You can not raising her lip, but she's having that very angry look on her face. And then
If she continues, he's going to just dominate her and tell her to go.
she turns into a 2-dimensional shadow and disappears. And Mirren is following the shadow with her eyes. And looks at Darius and says, "You said no interruptions."
Indeed, I did say that. And he's going to turn to Marin and go, "Are you okay?"
I'm fine.
I figured.
She hits hot, though.
I see that. We appreciate you carrying out your duties.
I believe she may be a threat if I was not here. I'm the only one who can do what she does, as far as I'm aware.
Indeed.
With the shadows.
About that conversation we want to have later. And he's going to go wink and then turn and kind of walk back to the group.
She disappears into the shadows again, keeping her distance. Going back to perimeter mode. Darius is smiling. I love a good fight.
We are all ready to go.
Darius steps closer to you and says, "I believe we need to talk about the list I gave you. And
let's do that.
Discuss threat assessment.
Indeed.
Some individuals may pose a greater threat to your reign than others. Especially," and he looks into, the shadows and says, "those who do not follow the rules of the Camarilla."
Very well, Darius. It will be done. He's going to turn to Albert as well and say, "Thank you again for your assistance tonight. Your service is appreciated."
Just treat my child well, and you'll have my respect.
Going to turn to JK. "I shall endeavor to do so. For your child so far has been of consistent service to our realm. So I shall endeavor to continue to acknowledge his service to us, provided that continues." So
Albert turns to you, JK, gives you just the 2 taps on your shoulder, like the most affection he can show, and says, "I'll continue with our project."
Likewise.
And walks towards the entrance. I don't know if you're staying here or in this graveyard or following.
JK, about our new friend, who is rather old in years, how has that been going?
She's currently out exploring. I assume.
See. You're bringing her up to speed on modern conventions, I assume.
To the best of my ability.
Indeed. If you need any help with that, I trust that you will point her in my direction.
That I will.
Of course, up on all the modern culture itself. Would like her to maintain and uphold the most important of all traditions.
Victor, he looks at you, Jake, and says, "I have a telepathic book if you need it to, it's very good for learning languages." But the
That
book
would
is
help, yes.
the book is very much alive, so it can be very how do I say it? You need to convince it to do as you're saying. It can be a bit flippant. I haven't used it in a while because I like consistency and things to do as I command them to do, but it might be a better tool in your hands than mine.
Is it bound in leather?
Yeah, some kind of leather at least.
Then I should most likely be able to make it do as I want.
Yeah.
I'll bring it next time we meet.
Thank you very much.
I believe we should head back and show up. I almost completely forgot with all the things that have been going on, but there's still the matter of Regina Blake, and she's getting impatient.
Okay.
Of course. Alex is going to go up to Naomi and say, it's so good to have you back. And if you need any time to kind of get everything sorted, it's fine. But of course, I would love to have you come by when you are free and able.
He bows slightly, kind of looks to Victor, and I think I will have to attend to my shop, just because it is my responsibility. But
You've been gone for 9 days. They might be wondering.
yes, and I will. Yeah, I think this person that I could have met was been of somewhat significant influence. So, would you like to take up for coffee? And she kind of gives a wink.
Indeed.
Okay.
Can I see? Victor says.
Oh, of course. I was actually going to ask you. She kind of looks at her wristwatch and then like her shitty phone to kind of like figure out what day it is. And if you'd like to attend with me at the shop, plants take 5 seconds. Usually I get the vines to help me with watering, but I figured through the process of recent experiences, I would like to actually be up to date on everything if you don't mind relying. I know the prince is busy, but you're more than welcome to also help me as I finish my chores.
Victor
lack of
looks
better word.
at you, Alex. Do you need me,
Yeah.
Prince? Or can I go without Primogen?
You may go.
She nods.
I'll portal us there then. He's looking
Of
for
course.
a clean surface in a mausoleum.
Yeah, right?
And you hear Darius...
Keep it discreet, Victor.
You hear Darius's whisper in your ear, Alex. I'll still be here. You don't need him.
Oh, I know. And he says, besides, we have things to talk about. So let us post haste get back to the matters at hand and move on with the list and other things that concern us.
I'll just ask as a storyteller. JK, are you intending to go with Alex or are you going back home with Albert?
I'll follow Albert.
I guess you guys split up at the graveyard to go your separate places. When we return, you have, arrived at your, I'm still gonna call it a fortress.
Indeed.
Because it has become a fortress.
It has become a fortress.
The new buildings, at least the frame is there. You have a vision and the whole plant part. Because it's like modern architecture and everything, but it's still winter, so that's gonna be the last thing done to it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
you have ways of making plants grow in the winter now.
Indeed.
At least
yes.
Nera has.
Yes.
The White Owl has been following you the entire time, of course, but she's not letting anyone but you know.
Yeah.
But you do arrive, and you are expecting Regina Blake to show up.
Indeed. And so he is going to have glasses of wine out and everything decorum, as it were, Judith is currently preoccupied with the, you know,
Violin.
her usual escort. Yeah, exactly, and violins and recording studios and all that stuff. So,
I think she has been talking. Just a quick mention. Hey, kitten. A quick mention of what Judith is up to, but she would really like to at some point to appear on stage with you, with her violin.
It's again the case of the idea was in my head and it's being projected among others, and so I have been considering how that might work. We would need to work on her appearance and everything, but I think that we could definitely make that happen. And
she kind of started out as a normal teenage girl, but her outfit is turning more and more into something akin to Adrian's.
exactly, and you know, makeup and hair dye and everything else can really go do wonders for, you know, cloaking appearance or changing it in a dramatic fashion. So I think that you know, he's accustomed to doing all that stuff for his appearances. And
I completely forgot as well, but now it rings a bell. The day you went to Starbucks, it's quite a while ago, but a blurry picture taken from afar of you and Judith together on the street as she's going into attack, and it's just like a tabloid magazine with the headline of "Who is this woman that Alex is hanging out right?"
Exactly,
and it's tabloid, so obviously not a credible source, but
of course, yeah. And he would even encourage the tabloids to have those exclusively, so that, you know, it's his own form of celebrity misinformation, you know, and that sort of thing, you know, just really kind of co-intel type of stuff, you know, that's kind of how he would do that. So yeah, he encourages he feeds those publications, you know, when possible, to just kind of keep it exclusively in their purview. That's entertaining for him, as well as serving a very functional purpose of delegitimizing those videos and photos and all that stuff that happen with him out and about sometimes, as it were.
And I know your journalists are very vetted and it's very clear what comes out, and if anyone is interviewing you, it's very strict about what people are talking about.
Well, and the paparazzi, you know, they love anything that they can get. So it's one of those things where, you know, he throws them a bone as a regular practice, you know, to basically be like, yeah, here you go, here's a treat, you know, for you tonight, and in that kind of condescending celebrity way. So, you know, that's kind of, you know, he treats them kind of like the dirt that they are, but also the functional purpose they serve. So, you know, he kind of
marketing.
Yeah, exactly, marketing. Yes, marketing and propaganda and all of those things that he is well versed in and loves. So yeah, he totally gives them just enough to go off of. They love that they're getting exclusives, you know, that the major media outlets do not get. He get them first, right? You know, so it's controlled information leakage type of thing. So yeah, it's they're just part of his apparatus. They don't quite know that, but they are. They're all part of his vast media apparatus. That's right, all part of the plan. Very venture run, yet totally celebrity facade type of stuff that he's going with and that. So yes, exactly. He is okay.
And,
yeah.
Darius, he appears not like poof, but normally through an elevator, and asks you, where would you like to receive Miss Blake?
Someplace luxurious. Let's receive her. Nobody is invited to the one of the my words are failing me at this time. One of the places where sometimes people gather, they're loud, you know, and that sort of thing. It has basically the shimmering pools there, and also the foliage, plant life, and all of that stuff, at least grown inside, and you know, the bar is stocked and everything. He's going to meet her there.
Well, you,
someplace that
you're,
has music of a classical variety playing and everything like that. He wants to make sure she feels right at home.
your downstairs lounge is empty at the moment
Indeed, yes.
because the guests are sleeping.
And he is indeed lounging, as it were. So yeah, holding a glass of wine and basically petting a cat, and so yeah, he's kind of awaiting her arrival there, dressed as he is.
Darius leads her in. She's walking and she's wearing her blue ball dress.
Indeed, and he is going to rise and say, "Darling, welcome."
My prince. She's having her ghoul behind her.
Yes.
She simply waves him off, and he walks
Indeed.
without earshot to the bar, and he's not taking a bottle or anything, but he just takes a seat.
He's going to he's going to walk up to her, embrace her, do the kiss on the cheek thing, oh, it's so good to see you, make her feel right at home. This is an elder vampire kindred, and so he's going to greet her in the way that she might feel most comfortable and accommodated, the way that she would prefer, as it were. So he's very attentive to that.
She's very much living on the reputation that she's Victoria Ash's child.
Yes,
and of
exactly.
course you have heard about Victoria Ash and her high status in the Camarilla.
Of course. And so he wants to make her feel extremely welcome. And he begins by apologizing that up to this point, he's been kept quite busy with affairs of state, and he's not been able to attend to her as a member of the city the way that he had originally intended and hoped to. So.
Oh, there's not to worry, dear. Before we continue the conversation, can you give me a wits insight?
Okay. I am going to rouse because I would like to make sure I make this roll as well as possible.
Before you do any crazy things, I'll let you know the difficulty.
Okay. Okay. Well, that doesn't actually seem so. Wits insight.
Oh, that was I made a weird thing. Just 1 second here. Why did it do that? Let's try this again. There we go.
Okay. All right. Definitely
3.
worth a rouse.
Yeah.
That's a success. So he is going to succeed at that. And so wits insight. And then we'll add the 2 to that.
5.
There we go.
Well, she says it's fine, but you sense she's a bit annoyed.
And he continuing straight on without missing a beat, he is going to say, but as we are both aware, talk is cheap, and so I'm extending to you a favor, a boon, as it were, to make up for it, to let you know that I am sincere in my apology for making you wait so very long, and for not being able to accommodate and set up this meeting earlier. So.
Well, Adrian told me you were out of town.
Yes, I was. Things have been quite busy lately, but of course that's no real excuse. And I'm simply letting you know that any insult will be redressed, and you'll be treated according to your station.
I'm glad to hear it. How very gracious of you, my prince.
You're welcome. I like to treat all within my domain as they deserve, or perhaps better than they deserve. So, yeah. How can I What might we discuss today?
As you, I'm sure, know, I've served Queen Anne for multiple years.
Indeed.
And I was quite comfortable with my position as keeper, but as I understand it, that position has already been filled. I also hear you have no harpy, and I would like to apply for that position, and also, if you are gracious enough to grant that to me, I would like to maintain my Elysium as it was before. My club, the trunk. The club
Both requests are granted.
She bows a bit, pulls up her dress before she sits down and makes herself comfortable.
Would you like anything to drink?
Oh, thank you, yes, dear.
And he says, would you like it on tap, as it were, or do you drink as I do? And he's kind of like holding the glass of wine there.
I would like a red, please.
Indeed. Okay. And he will motion to the bartender to, one finger up, somewhat appropriate.
He makes, or he pours a glass of wine, and Trenton brings it to her and goes back to the bar.
Yeah.
She's not looking at the Trenton at all. She's simply holding out her hand, grabbing the glass.
Exactly.
Slings it a bit before she sniffs and drinks.
I hope you like the variety.
It's a good year.
Indeed. So, do tell of your time with the famous Victoria Ash. I'm deeply interested. Do you know if she'll be in attendance to the Elysium we have called here in a few weeks?
I do not think so. We are, let me be frank, a bit estranged at the moment.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. How'd that happen?
Our opinions on certain matters differ. And I believe she does not... She does not believe that I hold up to her standards, which is heartbreaking to hear as a child, of course.
Well, I am deeply sorry about that.
With your insight, you can also hear the contempt in her voice. She's good at hiding it, but you're good at catching it. So,
well, not all of us are gifted with the ability to judge the true potential of others among us. So I try myself to constantly perfect that talent. So I hope that you will feel more appreciated in this court than perhaps your sire has deemed your potential worthy of her.
Well, Queen Anne and I never had any issues, and I kept the secret, of course. I know.
What happened to Queen Anne? Are you familiar?
Antigen happened.
As it has for so many of us.
I believe it was, if not the night, then around the night that Mithras rose.
Most unfortunate.
I met the
So
heralds
tragic.
the night before. I can tell you quite a bit about them.
I would definitely be interested in learning all about that, if you are willing to share.
Well, they came to me with an odd request.
Is that so?
They wanted to get into a certain museum where a Bruja elder was trapped to get hold of a certain item. Unfortunately, my dear Trenton had been arrested, so I sent them on a bit of a task to retrieve him from a police station, and I made arrangements with Arvin, as I understand it, the new Prince of Dublin. Her child, Chun-Hei, was to lead them through a secret entrance into the museum, and they were gathering certain Mithraic artifacts. I did not know what they wanted to use them for at the time, because we all believed that Mithras was, of course, dead. That is what Queen Anne told everyone when she assumed praxis. Otherwise, it would never have gone through.
So they were after a number of artifacts.
Yeah, a cap, a ring, a seal, a dagger, and a drinking cup. All special to Mithras, but I believe they used these artifacts to resurrect him, along with Roger the Captain.
Do you feel that these artifacts contain, or that his power is connected in any way significantly during these nights to these artifacts?
I believe he's wearing them.
Ah. Good to know. Good to know.
As I've heard, Mithras is no longer an issue for the Camarilla.
You have heard correctly. That was mainly my doing. And I have come to an agreement, an understanding with them that they respect my praxis of London in exchange for a current truce between our two groups.
I can tell you the heralds have scattered. Salvador Valesha is currently in Spain somewhere. Harry is in America along with Mike Wither. The spy master is obviously around.
Indeed.
Somewhere.
Always, to my knowledge.
They had a fifth member who is running a club.
I believe I'm familiar with this particular member. This is one Mr. Livingston, I believe.
No, he went to America.
Okay.
The Toreador was the newest addition, but they visited me at my club to ask for favors, and I believe Harry was testing them. I had a conversation, and he asked me a lot of opinions about these two newcomers to the Heralds, which I found interesting, about their social etiquette.
What piqued your interest about their etiquette?
Well, Harry's questions, of course. He seemed like he was going from, well, what they call their illusions to the next and the next and the next, and testing them and see how they would fit into our society. As I understand, Harry was always testing everybody, all the time. But that's not unlike a Banu Hakim judge.
Yes, I'm quite familiar with them. Harry and I have spoken. We've had conversations. I'm familiar with the man on a personal level. And he and I have reached an understanding. He is, I have discovered, one of the more reasonable members of the Heralds. And the one with whom I have brokered such a truth on, of course, Mithras's behalf, directly as I understand it. Not that he speaks for him, but rather that he is as much a liaison for their so-called, he's kind of put up finger quotes, God, as any of them are. Valacia and I've also met him, and it didn't go well. He lacked the grace and customary.
He never said a word when I met him.
Yeah, he lacks manners and the grace and gentility that is befitting someone.
Brujas has always been barbarian.
Exactly. You understand. You express it. You understand exactly. They sit ill upon the throne. They do not.
I can tell you, though, what Harry is doing. If you believe the rumors are true, he is hunting Queen Anne's sire, Relarius. Supposed to be dead, caught in a plane explosion, but apparently was not.
It's not my experience customary for Banu Hakim to hunt those who are already dead. That's more in the purview of other clans. So I find that very interesting. I would consider Valerius very much still insofar as we are alive.
They're supposed to kill a number of elders, and Valerius was one of them, but apparently not.
Some of us do escape such purges.
Well, he was Ventru, and you guys are hardy.
Indeed. Crafty in our ways as well. Able to foresee situations before they happen. So it seems you're quite well informed.
Which is why I would make a good harpy.
I agree. In fact, I couldn't agree more. I shall continue to delight in the information gathering and also the opinions and perspectives you might bring to our Elysium in a few weeks. I'm sure that quite a few of the elders there will recognize you, and it will be a credit to our court that you are a harpy for us.
I have a request. Just a small one.
Indeed.
Have you keep a visit my club. I think that would be appropriate.
I certainly will. I will make that recommendation.
Maybe I can give him a few pointers as well, since I was keeper previously.
I think that would be a great idea.
And also,
it shall be done.
As a gift or advice, before the old psychopaths arrive, make sure that all the things you care about are well hidden.
When you say all the things I care about, are you referring to anything in particular?
All the people you care about.
I see, yes. I will take your advice accordingly, and those matters shall be arranged.
They will look for holes.
Oh, yes. They will look and look, of course.
Oh, and another thing. I heard about you looking into Lady Blackmore.
Yes,
Quite
indeed.
A delicate matter and a huge secret, but since you're the new prince and I'm your harpy, I can tell you. An agreement was made between Blackmore and Queen Anne that they're supposed to leave each other alone. Lady Blackmore is, of course, Sabat. And if the rest of the Camarilla got word of that, that wouldn't be good. But the agreement was, I believe Queen Anne was pressured into this, of course, but the story goes that Lady Blackmore said that she would create the biggest masquerade breach the world has ever seen if anyone interfered with her doings. Just something you might think about before you approach this. Well, she's absolutely mental.
Typical Sabat, yes.
Yes.
Entirely unreasonable.
She runs a village, I believe, called Blackmore, outside of London.
Of course. I thank you for this information. And I will definitely consider between us, you may consider any agreements forged by those who came before to be null and void until I, of course, affix my seal upon them and reaffirm them in my own manner. So I will take your information into consideration and deal with Blackmore on my own terms. Regardless of the agreements that she struck with Queen Anne.
I don't
appreciate agreements being made for me, as it were.
I just wanted you to be aware of the threat to the Masquerade she could pose.
Yes, indeed.
If confronted.
Of course. And she will be dealt with accordingly or informed that the Masquerade shall be upheld no matter what that such matters as her doings that may threaten it pose a direct threat to this domain as much as any other, so they shall not be looked upon lightly.
She runs her finger along the glass, thinking, and says, "You might know a certain detective that has issues with Masquerade breaches that might be a bit riled if he heard about this."
I do, and I shall bring it to his attention when the next opportunity arises.
There's no need for you to fight. You have
No,
people
of
for
course
that.
not.
But
No, I have a few ideas about how to deal with those forces which continue to raise issues and problems for us. Combat is really, honestly, one of the last resorts of many methods for approaching and dealing with these particular organizations.
she ruffles around her purse, hands you it's just a card, just with a number on it, and says,
Indeed.
"If you need to get a hold of me, just call this number," and says it's from the Crown.
Indeed.
I will be here in a jiffy.
Sounds good. I really appreciate your appearance here, and it has been an absolute pleasure.
I'm looking forward to your crowning, my prince.
As I am having you on my court, Regina.
She finishes her wine, stands up, and pulls up her dress, bowing a bit, and
He rises, of course, and nods in the same way.
Is escorted out of the room by Darius, who quickly returns.
I think that went well.
You handled that masterfully, if I must say so myself, my sir.
Thank you. I would like you to look into it. I assume you've already begun. I would like you to look into matters of Blackmore. Make sure that we are out ahead of
I
any
have their
threats.
names, and I have a plan. Might work.
Excellent.
We cannot deal with the entire pack,
Of course not.
but we need
But
to
one step at a time, as it
to-
were.
pick them out separately. And I think they have a gangrel. Turns into a bear. But if we can remove him without the others knowing, might give us an in. But if we confront Lady Blackmore directly and her entire pack is there, I believe not everyone is going to make it out.
Oh, of course, Darius. The Art of War. Have you read it?
Yes.
It's standard. It's one of the standard texts that all business people are of any matter and means of success are required to read.
Choose your own battlefield. Is that what you're referring to?
Indeed, you have read it. I am most pleased. My predecessor familiarized me with this text not so many years ago, and I was quite pleased upon reading it of how much it applied both to boardroom deals as well as to the battlefield. So choose your own battleground. Indeed, the terms of engagement should be all on our side of the table. So certainly, I don't wish to confront Lady Blackmore on her own grounds, nor in the method that she most prefers. We shall approach this in a way that favors us at every turn.
I've spoken with... He looks around. Nobody's there. Not even the bartender at this moment. I've spoken with the priestess. And I believe she has a way of getting the beast to surface, and that might make the gangrel lose his cool, and we can single him out.
Indeed. The emphasis will be on making sure this looks like an incident that occurred between him and, well, not of our organization, as it were. I don't wish to fire an opening shot to a war that she would be more than happy to engage. So instead, I would like this incident covered up as much as possible once we enact it. And if there's any way to make sure that it happens in that manner, let's make it happen.
Well, I'm used to this about, and the best approach is dealing with them swiftly. And I think we have to destroy them all.
Indeed. Let's just make sure it looks like a tragic accident, perhaps a run-in with other members of other factions. I'm sure you're quite used to the concept of dressing up a crime scene, as it were.
I'm used to a more direct approach. I mean, it's a war in the Middle East, so we don't really bother with covering it up, but I believe our dear Warlock can help with that. I'll have
Obviously, this is different from the Middle East, and our Warlock should be involved if he can help in this endeavor. I want it covered up. I want it to, in the best of anyone's capabilities, be able to make it look like an unfortunate run-in with, say, agents of Operation Antigen. Therefore, these things happen. Sometimes a kindred encounters and runs into these rogue elements on the street, and it has nothing to do with us. And such is the way that they end up meeting their demise after so long a life. Most unfortunate, of course. And he would raise his glass again. Should Blackmore have any questions, why, we will simply be left only to express our regards and regrets and then move on in the conversation.
I'll begin move the pieces, and
Excellent.
the biggest issue is a ghoul, Shimishi, and they are a wandering masquerade breach. But I'll move the pieces.
One at a time, please.
Another
Yes.
matter. Mr. Harris is here. Should we
Promote him.
promote
Indeed.
him?
He has provided excellent service up to this point. I feel that he has earned it.
I'll fetch him. And he does bring Mr. Harris into the room, stoic as always, never questioning an order. Wondering maybe a bit why it's given by Darius. But he stands before you, Harris, and says, "What can I do for you, sir?"
Indeed. Out of character, what is his first name?
Eric.
Eric. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure because we always refer to him as Mr. Harris, and it eluded me. I just can't. He says that Eric. I've called you here tonight to express my complete happiness with the job you have done so far as head of security here. Your top marks has been outstanding service, even through the most difficult times. You have managed to keep certain persistent and enthusiastic fans from my doorstep, as well as others who pose any kind of threat or breach of security. We've been through a lot together, and it is with great pleasure that I intend to promote you tonight.
He looks a bit confused, but he simply says, I'm very pleased to hear you say that, sir.
Indeed. Alex will... is Darius back as well?
Yeah, he's standing right behind.
Yeah. And Alex will turn to him and say, can you bring... Actually, you know what? Don't worry about it. And he will say, let us go up to my penthouse to conduct the next proceeding for the promotion, as it were. And he will turn and motion for Eric to follow him. And then, of course, once they get to the penthouse, he will say, it's a special ritual that I believe will be your first time observing this. And as such, it is one that you might find strange, but I assure you, it is simply in accordance with certain beliefs that I have that this be done. And it must be kept extremely confidential, as with all matters. that we engage in. And he is looking him directly in the eyes, invoking the full dominance powers that he has with all that stuff with Mr. Harris. And then he is going to very carefully. He says, "Is there any question or any problem so far with anything that I've said?"
Of course not, sir. He
And
still
then he
looks
is
confused, but
yes,
he's
indeed.
used to strange orders.
Indeed. And so he is going to open up his wrist and he says, "Eric, I need you to step forward and drink." And he will use compel or mesmerize if need be, if he doesn't do so.
I think a compel is enough to just say drink.
Yeah. Yes.
And he does. You can do a rouse because he is drinking your blood.
Indeed. That's a hunger.
Maybe a little bit too much blood.
He's quite thirsty, yeah.
His pupils go wide,
yeah.
and you immediately feel the effect. I don't know if you had ghouls before, but you feel very connected to this individual all of a sudden.
Yeah, he hasn't done this before. This is the first time, but yeah.
I mean, he's pretty loyal, but this is unwavering loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with your slavish devotion.
Indeed.
And he still looks confused, but you can clearly see with your insight that this is nice for him.
Indeed.
Something akin to an addiction. Darius grabs Mr. Harris' shoulder and looks at you, Alex. Shall I begin his education?
Indeed. He will also place his hand on the other shoulder and look him in the eyes and say, "Welcome to the next step in your service to me. This is a great honor, one that is reserved only for the finest employees. You have done an excellent job."
He bows, bows down. He's never done that before, but this feels natural all of a sudden to him. Is it okay if I jump scene?
Yes.
Naomi!
What up, my guy?
You arrive in the basement of your shop in the middle of the night. So, well, the lights are off in the showroom except for those necessary for plant life. With Victor, who is still smiling from ear to ear. And he looks around and says, "Welcome back."
Yeah, sorry?
I've been by and told your employees that you're out of town.
Yeah,
Didn't say too much else, but...
Yeah, I left them a couple of emails just trying to make up some sort of excuse. They're going to be attended to. It looks like I skipped a little bit on their paychecks. It got a little bit mad at me, so I'm going to have to owe them back a bit. But that being said, they all seem to be plant lovers to some extent. They're not exactly ghouls per se of mine, but they're relatively loyal employees, so hopefully they kind of get over the fact that I was left for a little longer than I wanted to be, right? So
there is an issue.
Yes? Oh no.
Just try to stay calm.
Okay.
And I'll show you. He kind of gestures for you to move to the front of your store where you can see the street.
Oh, okay. So...
And when you get there, right across the street is another shop very similar to yours. And running price is just a penny below yours. I just found out.
So she keeps her composure, but to the deepest part of her core, she is definitely frustrated and annoyed. And moves in, snaps a picture from, I guess, one of those other older style of cameras. And well, I'm gonna definitely have to do something about this. And she definitely takes a mental note or two. Um, were you? How were? Okay, so since she's alone, her plays were obviously taken care of. Um, I owe them dinner, but um, you are frankly the last. Are your knuckles okay? Because you were the last person I heard when I went into the abyss.
Oh, I've healed. I lost my composure, but fortunately, the dear prince and Master Killjoy were able to pull me out of it.
Okay. It's not something I would have expected of you, and I don't think anyone else was either.
Well, I um, care about you.
She gets a bit nervous, looks away, and then kind of like, I guess nervously like attends to her plants a bit. But one of her plants kind of like just pats the back of her hand. So yes, she kind of skips over that for a quick moment and kind of intends to. So I met someone down there. I know you
Someone or
have met
something.
someone specifically. Something, no.
Hmm.
They seem to be of importance. And she specifically mentioned here's the paradox. She said she willingly uh went there, but then now she is locked. I don't know her true story. She didn't went into true depth, but um I offered any sort of service. I wasn't familiar who she ultimately was, but she said she belonged to that domain. That was of her domain, whoever granted her it.
Can I look into your mind?
Yeah.
He, well, the sclera on his eyes go white all the way through. Pauses for a moment and says, well, that's unnerving.
Really, because she seemed quite nice. She wanted me to actually go free, even though she seemed trapped.
She's a demon, right? But as she said, well, she was one of us, and now she's a demon, and I assume that she's probably imprisoned by the process. I don't know how that's achievable. I've never heard about that before, and it shouldn't be possible, but if she has any kind of connection to Master Killjoy, then that could be an issue. And the prince needs to be informed.
Yes. So here's the thing. I'm going to let you know my perspective. Obviously, you've seen what I've seen, but I've already arranged a meeting afterwards, however brief it may be. But that being said, here, I don't believe in the traditional. That being said, religion, whatever you want to call it. I see this as a vampire who got promoted and necessarily a new label. I don't believe in this traditional in concept because as of our understanding of what our reality is, we're not just walking curses. We're an exception of evolution. That's how I see it.
Well, we still defy science. We have no heartbeat, no breath, no brain waves, nothing.
Yes, and I've came to the understanding it's of ethereal. That's the closest I could ultimately compare it to. I extend that philosophy for debate. Coming back to the reason why I don't is I have never witnessed the who is of their hierarchical, who promoted that person, who got them there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to debate things. I accept that there's other dimensions in physics and etc. But when it really comes down to it, I know she is of greater power, however long she has existed. So,
Demons should be avoided in general, and if she speaks the truth, I think I have to do something about that sword, but perhaps made a replica or something to fool. And Master Killjoy is fickle at best, so
yes.
I have to find out where his true loyalties lie.
Yes, and
Nemesis is a definite problem, but I'm still, I mean, Master Killjoy is on the edge. He can go both ways.
well, and that's exactly what I wanted to get to. Demon insinuates bad intentions, and before I started addressing this to my most intimate parts of my coterie, you are of the mythical encyclopedia. I'm glad to give you this, at least this information, but why are we engaging myself even unexpectedly with someone who is considered of ill will if they're considered demonic? Why should I engage with this person? Should I help them? What should I do?
I don't think she should be let out. She's probably there for a reason, and
Okay.
she could be lying.
Yeah, she said she couldn't get out without our help, so.
If the gate we saw is the door, and our dear prince is wearing the key, then those should be kept apart, like by any means necessary. We don't know if we open that door what else is gonna come out, but demons is usually bad for everyone. And if demons show up, so can other celestials, and that could mean Gehenna.
Yes.
I think Albert would be better at answering these questions, but I'm concerned. Can we... He looks to the basement entrance. Going downstairs.
Yeah, she leads the way, and to her, this just sounds like a little too much on her plate as of right this moment. She goes down there and sits at one of her workstations, just tidying it up a little bit, putting pens back, and like swiping some dust back into the garbage container. What do you need down here? What would you like?
Can you take off your clothes? Again,
okay.
Nothing sexual in his voice. This is like, you hear the scientist in him.
But you know my anatomy. I'm a vampire. What do you want?
He looks confused. Sorry. Again, forgive my... Well... branding.
Ah, okay. So all she has, she doesn't even hesitate for the most part because she thinks it's like sheer for anatomy reasons. She strips down basically to a matching lace bra and like I would want to say like almost like a silk thong, but maybe this is something of the unseen that she hasn't exactly. She tries to like look on herself and doesn't really notice too much.
Well, he's going over your body, like he would with any magical object. You've seen that look before.
Yeah.
Says, "Oh shit." He finds a piece of paper and starts drawing. I've sent you the symbol.
She kind of follows his eyes and grabs to it, like, oh, is it? Oh no.
He taps you on the shoulder blade and shows you a crude drawing of it. Definitely not there before, I think. Unless you've visited a Setite tattoo artist that I don't know of.
Oh. I guess she kind of grabs like a black silken robe and kind of like throws it on quickly as if she kind of just sat for a new drawing or a new art session for a while and just kind of throws it on to kind of like address the issue. What do we have here? I only met one person. What is this about?
It's only visible with my second sight, so it's not pigment or ink or anything of the sort, but it's definitely a mark. I'll have to look through some books. Perhaps JK can be of assistance. He has quite the library, as I understand. My knowledge is more of, fire wards and shrine.
Can she, without any even hesitation, because she knows how like relatively close she is, emotionally, mentally to JK.
Perhaps Nemesis, without giving too much away.
You want me to contact them? Or at least that's what Victor's insinuating.
It could be dangerous, but she seems like the most knowledgeable about this. And if she is the grandchild of this Ramnosha, she should know more.
Can we teleport right now? This is not in my agenda to deal with. I'd like to get it done as soon as possible. Can we teleport to her location right now?
I have no idea where she is. Well, I can find, maybe, if she is. I'll give it a shot, but I need to go home first. We can go there.
Completely understandable.
He creates a portal. You enter his magnificent living room with the dragon skull and all the relics around. Walks up the stairs and says, "Oh, there's something I want to show you as well. I told you about it, but you haven't seen it."
Yeah, before they do that, she's only like wearing a knee-high like silk robe. So she's grabbing a like a lady's nightgown underneath of similar material just to kind of like, it's night, whatever.
Well, you're not cold.
Yeah, so she kind of shoves her clothes in the bag just in case. And kind of like, yeah, pops through the portal, stands in the living room, and what did you say you wanted to show me?
Up the spiral staircase. Leads to a small balcony kind of thing. Goes into a door. Leads you down some strange hallways you've never been in before. But as he's walking through, the walls are turning at his will. You enter a room. It's a dome-shaped room. In the middle of it, you see and smell the well. It's a kind of a fountain where blood is coming out of. You've drunk this blood before. You always wonder where these decanters full of blood are coming from. But it's a well of blood. There's tables in here with other things, and he starts rifling through them to find certain things. He smiles and looks at it. That's my greatest creation.
So as she kind of walks down the hallway, she gets a bit nauseous, but her eyes and ears kind of get overwhelmed. She kind of has a bit of like flashbacks from when she was a ghoul, and tries to kind of like push down that fear and that anger that she had when she was under servitude, and is able to shake it off when being in the presence of this. You said fountain, right?
Yeah, it's like almost like a fondue thing where it runs down.
Yeah, fountain. She can smell it, and she's like, "Oh, that was so delicious." Can I take a sip? Do you have a wine glass, Eddie?
Oh yeah, he points it at the decanter over at the table. Just don't empty it. It's nigh infinite, but don't empty the well. Then it will continue producing this.
It's okay. I am not. I'm I'm just a bit peckish tonight. She gets like really excited because it's like one of the few things like a Toreador can actually eat and drink. So she fills up about a half a wine glass and is just savoring that shit like no tomorrow. And
Your hunger goes
it's
down by 2,
beautiful.
and it can go to 0.
She looks at the well once more and absolutely stunning. She's in not only the magical qualities of it, but just the way the Ria's architecture. It was just she was really kind of mesmerized, almost feeling her not Bane kick in quite strong, but like just simmering underneath that.
Got to say, everything in here looks like a mess, but there seems to be a certain order to it.
Yeah, I figured everything has its place, but with given the right moment, I'll have everything alphabetical ized. I can't say that word.
Just 1 second, just making 2 rolls here. Oh, okay, fair. Oh shit.
Uh-oh.
Okay, 1 success with that many dice. What a crap. Okay, well, he can definitely find her. He does a ritual. The ingredients are, it looks like simple chicken bone scrying again, where they're just moving around. His eyes go white, and he says, I found her, at least where she is now. I don't think she's aware. It's an old train station of all things.
Would it be a one that she was familiar of?
Closed down. It's not.
Okay.
It's something that's in the hidden depths of London.
Okay.
Victor says, but I know where it is. Should we
Beautiful.
talk to her?
Yes, I would like to get this addressed before any of my coterie is even slightly aware of it.
She's quite deceptive, so just be wary.
I assume there's quite a bit of hesitations, but
I'll be with you.
we're talking of literal matter. Hopefully I'll sense any other subterfuge she might give off.
Well, wait till Victor takes a glass of the blood as well, because she's used quite a bit of powers, and starts creating a portal. And when you walk through it, you appear in a, well, it's completely dark, but you have night vision, or at least dark vision. It's worn down, it smells like rotten flesh, dried blood. There's a big pile of blankets where you can clearly smell a corpse beneath it. And it's closed off. There's even a worn down train that's completely broken, that's blocking the tunnel. And you hear a voice in the dark, posh accent, and you've heard it at the graveyard as well. Just saying, why do you intrude on my domain? Victor is just standing stoically and looking around.
Yes, she calmly looks, and I assure you, if it wasn't for urgent matters, I would have at least give you a week's notice. I have something I need to address. I have Victor with me for just sheer company. We mean no harm. I might need to ask a favor of yourself. If there's anything you'd like in return, depending, we can negotiate that beforehand. But I really am unfamiliar with the thing that I am currently dealing with.
Well, ask your favor and I'll tell you the price.
Okay.
The voices, it seems like it's coming from everywhere down here in the dark. Even with your heightened senses. You might be able to pinpoint it if you want to, but for now it's echoing down here.
Yeah. That would only lead her to be a little bit more distracted than normal. She is anxious. She is a little bit shaken because she was really hoping not to bring anything back with her. All that being said, she's still in her nightgown, so it's easy access to whatever design is currently on her at the time being. She's really fucking hoping this is not a track of some sort, something tracking her. Can she sense like how hostile dealing with a specific individual can or could be?
Was the voice coming from the shadows is unnerving, but you don't sense any hostility in her voice.
Okay, beautiful.
She's completely, well, like JK. Deadpan.
Yeah. Okay. She kind of looks around and is a little kind of disgusted by the place she keeps herself in, but nonetheless, I need you to clearly identify a marking symbol, if you will. That being said, I assure you people that I'm connected with aren't able to identify it, it seems. So would you like to? And she's like, this is a little personal. See what's designed on my back unwillingly? Or, I mean, it's on my back unwillingly.
She steps out from her shadow. Just a curious look on her face. She does not step close, but just says, show it.
Yeah, so with the straps that she has on are quite thin, and it just like rests in the middle of her back, but she lets the robe kind of go down to like shoulder length and kind of exposes the area on which Victor kind of showed her.
Oh, it's on your shoulder blade. Your
Okay, yeah.
right shoulder blade.
Okay.
She looks at it. She smiles. Well, it's more like a grin. It's a wicked smile. She says, you've been marked by a god. You should consider yourself fortunate to even have stood in her presence. Now you stand in the presence of another. Her grandchild.
Interesting. Does she is okay, so totally out of character. Is that what she's insinuating Scott to be? Or what she's trying to groom Scott to be?
She's referring to herself. You can
Oh, okay.
definitely sense the... Why does that word escape me?
She does not take this as good information. She's almost like about to vomit for how like frustrated, annoyed, and emotional.
Megalomania, that's the word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But Nemesis is smiling.
She's so pissed. She's like, oh, fuck these religions. And yeah, she knows Victor isn't exactly a religious scholar, just a warlock. And it's not something he... Okay, can I get it off? Can I pass it to someone? I don't want to be possessed.
Any mark or ward or symbol can be removed if you know how to. But this was placed by a superior being, and you would need an equally superior being to remove it.
Wonderful.
You can do an insight, by the way, wits insight.
Please. Oh, shoot, wrong one.
Before you do anything crazy, I'll let you know the difficulty.
Okay, should I also rouse for this or no? Probably not. Just information.
I'll tell you in a second.
Okay. What's an awareness?
Only difficulty 4.
Okay.
She's rolling so bad right now. It's just an insane amount of dice. Remember to add your aspects. This is a perception thing. Equally bad roll with an insane amount of dice. You can reroll 3 though. And there's a chance of a crit.
Okay. I can reroll 3 more times?
No, just 3 dice. With a willpower reroll.
So on top of that, yeah, okay. No.
3. Well, she seems to be telling the truth. Or at least the truth as she perceives it to be.
So she's never prayed before. And she's like, she's just kind of like muttering it to her, like as if she like could be like, what do you want? She kind of talks to the tattoo as if it was like a 5-year-old child.
Nemesis says, you're speaking to her avatar. Me.
Oh. And she, completely goes into business composure at this point and is completely flustered and embarrassed internally, but is trying to shove that down. And she definitely doesn't want to piss off anyone who is stronger than her, regardless. So,
I don't think you've ever met her before.
Okay. No, I haven't at all.
No.
She thought this was a random vampire.
Yeah, well, she's just for, again, to tell, she's completely, like, her eyes, blue eyes, her hair is white. And
I've seen a picture. Yeah.
She's wearing, like, black robes with, instead of the dress part, it's pants.
Yeah, she kind of, like, perceives her a little bit like almost albino.
Yeah, kind of like Henry, actually, her outfit.
Okay. Interesting.
But she definitely gives off the crazy, arrogant megalomania vibe. She absolutely believes she's a god.
Yeah, and that's why she doesn't want to piss off Crazy. So, nice knowing you. No, that's out of character. She looks to Victor with, like, the most deadpan, like, me right now. She got roped in some weird shit. And then kind of looks back to her with, like, she kind of has sympathy for her, but, like, has no idea what to say. Okay, what is your price? What would you like in return for giving me this information? Just gonna go completely fly with it as if it was the most normal thing she's ever been told.
I'm not gonna ask a price for you achieving greatness. But if you want me to remove the mark, then we'll have to figure something out. I have things to do, and, well, I have plans, and Killjoy and I are working on it. You can help with those plans. I need to confirm and affirm your loyalties, of course, and that nothing slips out. You're Toreador, you should be able to keep a secret, right?
Always. That's actually the best thing I'm capable of doing about any of this. Mrs. What would you like me to call you?
Nemesis.
Nemesis.
The Greek god of vengeance.
My autonomy has been tarnished. autonomy has been tarnished.
You've been granted a gift.
Yes. Would you like me to... I will do my best to try to celebrate this occasion, getting this information. The person I previously talked to wanted me to talk to our lovely Scott. Are you... She's like trying to figure out, okay, this is her coterie. And she's very protective of her coterie, and it feels like her coterie's now been breached by a random stranger. What is... Has Scott been praying to you guys at this point? Is that what's been happening?
No. He was praying to the abandoned one. He prayed to God, but God was not listening. He has not been for 2,000 years, as I understand it. And our connection, our pure blood, Ramnosha heard him, and she's been guiding him.
Interesting. Anyways, she just, as if it was the most normal thing, she kind of like just takes off her gown, like literally drops her like robe, and then just starts putting her regular clothes on by the bag because she has no sense of autonomy right now. And as he's already fucking seen her naked, so it's fine.
You see Victor, he's pulling out a coin, and Nemesis looks at it like she recognizes what he is doing, and
Okay.
she says, "Don't bother. Fire does not work." And he's looking at her with squinted eyes, and looks like he's just prepared in case.
She kind of catches both of the looks, the glares or glances each of them are doing, and words being exchanged. She's finally got herself changed, throws her nightgown back in her bag, and kind of looks at her daggers. Do you want my cell phone number? I'm sure you're going to be tracking me. This is going to take some kind. I have so much other stuff I got to do.
Electronics have a way of being weird around me. So...
That's fair. How would you like me to keep in contact with you? Also, magical options are applicable here.
Well, pray.
She like writes on her phone, like sends letter, make sure it's not explosive, into her phone. All right, got you. It's lovely seeing you. I'll see you to send you flowers. She's like as if she just like got this child that she doesn't even know what to do with at this point. Being like, I guess we're co-parents now.
Say hello to my cousin for me, will you?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Scott, as you call him.
I got that part. Yeah, I don't know if you know me, but I'm the Toreador Primogen. I assume you already kind of know what my schedule's like. Anyways, we'll keep in touch.
I know all of you guys, what you're doing, where you're sleeping, who you're in touch with, who you love, all these things. That's what I do.
She kind of goes like this and just be like, is this praying? I guess, Roger, anyone got a signal, and is like, she kind of gives up on it and kind of taps Victor's shoulders like, do you got anything you got to do? I'll start organizing your inventory. It's fine.
He's mumbling a bit, and you can hear it, but it seems like she can as well. She clearly has heightened senses, but he's just like, I would like to fry her, but that does not seem like an option.
Oh, we'll strategize. And she kind of only says that through her eyes. She does not mention anything out loud.
Oh, she's smiling from ear to ear, like you guys are absolutely no threat to her.
Yeah. And considering the presence that she was within earlier and also her presence, I assume she can kind of tell there's like some sort of like the power dynamic is weird, don't get me wrong, but like obviously the underworld lady was way more.
Demony?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so out of sheer frustration, she kind of like politely, like kind of like not intimately, but like you can tell she's more comfortable with Victor, kind of like grabs his shoulder and is like, can we get out of here?
He simply nods.
Okay.
He's looking at Nemesis, like almost like he does not want to show his ritual, but he's doing it anyway. And he's creating a portal. He's just standing there and smiling. Is there anything you do before you step through the portal?
She knows exactly what she wants to do after stepping through the portal, but she does not let her escape her vision of like her eyesight, vision, direction, whatever you want to call it. She does not trust this chick at all, not even close. She kind of like even steps backwards into the portal and just kind of like gives a wave.
She's just doing a wave as well, with this flippant smile.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Yeah.
And when you get back to, I think it's Victor's place, because he wants to be safe right now, or at least hidden.
Yeah.
What a bitch, he says. Calm.
Yeah.
But you can sense his frustration. You know him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's like, psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Fa 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 fa. Like she's just kind of muttering that to herself.
She's had training.
Pardon?
She's had training.
Who's had training?
Nemesis. She's definitely versed in sorcery.
Okay.
Her ability to manipulate the shadows is also, well, I would say impressive, but she's a bitch, so let's just say dangerous.
A little bit. There was no
I think I have to ward the walls at our prince's house now.
Yeah.
Entrances are not enough. I'll have to talk with our dear sheriff. But she's an issue. And I don't think she's concerned with rules. I don't think she's a bot either. But I'll have to look into it. I need to know where she comes from. She's kindred, definitely. She's not a demon.
Yeah. No, I got that sense. She's not right. I know there's something quite off about her. She seems to answer to something that probably could not even be the person that I spoke to earlier, but who fucking knows? She's so frustrated at this point because she doesn't even know if she can step into like any other places without their identity or anything else being exposed. Like this bitch could have been just completely going off being like, yeah, I see and hear everything you fucking do. Like that just sends shivers down her spine. It's like, this is big fucking business. She's even scared to like contact anyone, but like at her own frustration and because Victor was with her, one of her coping mechanisms is like, again, tending to business in general. Can she just like take all of her anger and frustration and just like use it to organize his place into like a pristine, like even clean it with her like Auspex and Blink, or with her Blink and stuff?
We're not quite sure you can and cannot touch here without it going ham, but there's definitely some alphabetizing of books that can be done with various tomes lying around that are not put back on shelves.
Oh yeah, she had the full intentions of putting on her heightened senses and kind of like sensing the aura of like how power something could possibly be, but she will do her best to kind of keep.
Victor also says that I believe we should talk to Master Killjoy, perhaps discreetly, to not rile him, to ask about his bloodline and affiliations and connections, and maybe he knows more. He knows more than he has said, that's for sure.
But I don't. She has she had a sample of his blood yet? Probably not. But a Kate like the only information she hasn't known about him is like okay, he's a caitiff, but like I also don't want to put him in unnecessary danger. I know he's like some sort of crime affiliate, but like this is of religion, and are these crossing paths for him somehow?
Fits the demon mask, right?
Oh shit. Because she hasn't seen that in a little bit. Okay, I guess.
Would you mind staying here for the rest of the night until we figure out what to do?
Yeah, I don't want a nuclear bomb like going off in my building. Like I don't know what this could be, the symbology, well, of you, Turmir, like you know that this could be,
She's not gonna fight this place.
and that's why I trust you with that. Thank you for coming with me though, too.
Of course, dear. I'm not gonna lose you again.
Oh, she gets a bit flustered and she definitely blushes to that, but then gets nervous and kind of like I guess attends to those books that like she's very pristine about like the size, the color, and like on the bookshelf that was like kind of near her. Trying to put away the putting them in the right order.
Is there anything else you want to do before I jump to JK?
Honestly, I think that was like a perfect ending, frankly.
Frustration, cleaning.
Yeah. Oh, she's mad.
Yeah. Fitting. JK, you get back to your haven with Albert. And Morgan is rifling through your library, not the secret one. You're muted, by the way. Not the secret one, but I mean the one you have in your living room.
Mm-hmm.
I assume there's a bit of weird books, but nothing of super occult nature.
No, nothing that would scare people away.
She turns and says, "I'm glad you're back."
How was your flight?
Well, magical, in a word. The humans have come far.
That they have.
Also figure out there's no blood sacrifices. People don't simply throw themselves at you anymore. It's kind of weird. I used to clean up whole battlefields, but yeah.
That's not how it works anymore, sadly.
Well, I went hunting, so it was a good night.
Glad to hear it.
Do you have any books in Latin?
Not here, but I do have a couple. And JK will go to his own private little library and grab some books. Including a very old textbook teaching English to Latin.
She's happy with something familiar. And she looks at Albert, and she hasn't really noticed him before, and Albert is the quiet type, really, when he's not engaged. "Who's this?" And he answers in Latin. "My name is Albert." She looks at you, JK. "Your sire?"
Yes.
Bows her head a bit, and he does the same. Elder to elder.
Well, unless you have any other questions, I'll leave you to the books and we'll go start doing our business.
I was wondering about who's the woman? She's quite beautiful.
An old friend.
She in torpor?
No. She passed away 70 years ago, approximately.
That's too bad.
No. Well, she'll be up and walking soon enough.
Oh, that's good to hear. She opens the book and sits down in a chair without any, like, that's the most natural thing in the world. And when you get without earshot, Albert says, "Who? What?"
Have you ever heard Tales of the Morrigan?
Of course.
That is her.
Oh. Well, fits. She's quite old, then.
Yeah, she decided she didn't want to guard the gate to the abyss anymore, and she'd rather come and see how the world had evolved.
Well, that's fortunate that she's not trying to subjugate everyone.
That is true.
Well,
I guess-
some gods get bored of being gods, I guess.
Yeah, 500 years in torpor would probably do that. Or stasis.
She could be an issue, though. But
For now, she's an asset.
she seems friendly, at least.
Well, yeah, she didn't immediately attack us as we unlocked her sarcophagus, so she should be good.
Have you opened the book yet?
No. I mean, I can try again and see if it will open. And JK will pull out the book and try once more to open it if it will lend itself to him.
A bit more, but not fully. It shuts. You can pry it a centimeter, but then the shadows come and shut it. And Albert simply says, "Not quite there yet."
No. A couple more things will have to happen first, I guess.
We could look into it, but you have any ideas? I guess you have accepted your fate?
That I have. But I decided why not take some mortals with me at the same time.
I have no issue with it. But I know you're young, and young people can have hesitations when it comes to mortals. May I ask, what do you intend to do with Wara when she wakes up?
Let her see the world.
You will need to be a guiding hand. Well, maybe she's already seen it as a wraith. But I imagine the transition will be quite confusing. It usually is. I've never done it before, but I've seen it done. And usually people don't return quite as they were.
Well, that comes with the territory.
I have, good news, requested the final ingredient from Roger, and he will bring it at some point when he ventures down south.
Lovely.
So I guess the only thing we really need is for you to learn the ceremony.
Yes.
But you have been patient so far.
More patient than I like to admit.
I know this is none of my business, but why are you associating yourself with the Camarilla?
Well, it wasn't really much of my own choice as it was the circumstances led to it.
You have been given a position of power.
That I have.
It could be good for the clan.
The few that remains, yes. And I've also managed to make sure that the Giovanni aren't allowed in the city, so that's lovely.
There are a few around.
Here
Hi.
at least, yes. But if they start moving up from further south, then that could be an issue.
Definitely. But as I understand it, they would feel the wrath of Mithras himself. And Roger, which is equally terrifying. He is quite old. I don't know how much you know of him.
Not much. I do know that he is the current reigning Prince of Edinburgh.
It's possible if you go far enough back, he's our grandsire.
Fascinating.
There's not many of us, so the possibility is high.
Good to know.
He looks at Vara and says, "Is her soul still in Berlin?"
I can check, and I'll pull out the church brick I have and use the knowing stone.
Yep.
Let me just rouse. I do not get hungry.
Always maintaining, keeping into control. Oh. Would you like to reroll one die?
Yes. I would very much like to reroll that one dice.
Oh, good enough.
Yes.
Fortunately. Yeah, 2 successes, that's enough. She's not. She's moving weirdly. With your knowledge, you have heard of ghost trains. You've even seen one. And it seems like she's on one right now. She's not. She can't be pinpointed to Earth because she's moving from location to another within the Shadowlands. But you maintain the link, and this is. Well, time is weird in there. Takes about 15 minutes. She steps out in York, of all places. So, on the same aisle now, at least.
Well, she has returned to this country at least. Currently in York.
Do you think it's a good idea to converse with her before we resurrect her?
Perchance. That said, I don't think many individuals turned wraiths would say no to another chance.
Well, I was thinking of trapping her spirit, but since she's a friend, that might be a bit much.
Yes.
But we could maybe get another wraith to get the word out that you're here and wish to talk to her. I could send my banshees.
That would be nice, yes.
He mumbles a few words, and the lovely lady with the broken neck appears. Wild hair. And he points at Vara's corpse and says, "I need you to locate her. She's in York. Johan Kobe is looking for her. Her name is Vara." And he looks at you. "Vara."
One second, I don't know the guy's name I will. I have not looked at this in ages. Where is this written? Chronicle, yes. Hammermeister.
Laura Hammermeister. And the banshee, she tilts her head to the other side, saying, "Yes, master." And she disappears. Might take a while, but at least she's on the task now.
Well, glad that's done. I assume having her spirit near is easier than having it far, far away.
Well, then we don't have to summon it. Which can be quite straining for the spirit. And they can react in certain ways when they're pulled here, and we don't have to trap her and all that. If she is put into her corpse willingly, it will go a lot smoother.
Then let's hope she's willing.
Have you seen her since?
A few times. But then one night she wasn't there anymore.
But she's aware of what you are?
That I'm not sure of.
Well, I assume with her being a wraith for that long, she is aware of our existence, at least. Wraiths talk.
Probably.
You hear Morrigan from upstairs, I assume. She's yelling just the letters JK.
JK will go find her.
She's waving the book at you. "This is boring. Do you have anything on me? I want to know how I'm perceived."
Do I have any books on Irish mythology?
Well, you are versed in religions. Just do a D10. A simple luck dice.
Sure, let's go.
3. Unfortunately, you only have like the what's it called, Arthurian version of like fiction, and Knights of the Round Table and all that, and of course not in Latin, but
I do have one, but it is in English, so you'd have to get further versed with the language first. I could try to find one in Latin if you want.
I'll just read it to me, she says with a gesture.
And JK will open the book and find the Morrigan's pages and read how she was perceived.
That's not true. I'm not a witch. I'm not anything like that. I know a bit of sorcery, but he got it completely wrong.
Well, history has a way of warping things.
But this is complete fiction.
Yes.
Something must be done. We have to amend this. Write a new book.
That is certainly a way to do that.
Fetch me a scribe.
That is not how that works anymore, sadly. People write for themselves.
So bothersome. Very well. Paper and ink, then. I will write my own biography.
That I can procure for you.
Thank you. You're so kind. I'm so fortunate to have you as a host.
It is my honor. And JK will go and find some paper and some ink laying around.
Old school ink and a quill and everything.
If it is ink, it might be blood.
Yeah.
He's not quite sure what's in the vial, but he hands it to her.
She just looks satisfied with it. There's been pencils around and everything. She's completely ignored. Because they're just sticks, right?
Well, good luck writing down your biography. I hope you managed to get everything down.
Or I will tell the true story.
I can't wait to read it.
It would be a fascinating tale.
That I am sure of.
The quill does not work, but she's actually, like, you see her fingernails growing out pointedly, and she's just writing with it on paper. Very point.
Nice trick.
Smiling, her fangs out. She's never blushed, by the way. It's not a concern of hers.
I will leave you to that. And JK will go and find Albert again if he didn't follow him.
Oh, he's still standing there, just looking at Vara, contemplating something.
What's on your mind, sire?
I'm just wondering how she would react. I know she's dear to you, and I'm worried.
Well, that is a problem for when it happens.
Maybe we should, or I could look into other cases of this and see how people react from being brought back from the dead in a non-zombie-like state.
That might be helpful, yes.
Do you intend to embrace her?
If it's possible, perhaps.
Might be a way to cheat death. There are an order to things on the other side, and I'm not sure the specters are gonna be... Well, maybe not the specters, but someone's gonna be pissed.
Well, I'll make sure to have this place warded
I'll do
before
my
then.
best to help you.
Your help is much appreciated. For now, I think it's just time to go out and spread some disease, if nothing else.
Disease?
Well, I have to get closer to the darkness somehow, don't I?
True. He's completely, like, it does not faze him. It's completely reasonable what you're saying. So... you're gonna touch someone and hope it spreads?
Yes. Or perhaps do it a couple of times.
Is iron lungs still a thing?
They exist, but they're rarely used.
I think you should choose something at least curable, so you don't create a pandemic.
What would be the harm in that, though? Getting rid of some more humans.
We need food. I don't know about you, but I'm quite sick of eating wraiths.
Well, I eat the dead, so...
But they don't scream as much. Do you want
That
me
is very true.
to accompany you for this task, or should I simply, do my own thing?
If you wish. Or you can go and do further research, I assume. Or you must have other tasks of your own that you wish to see to an end.
Let me just see here. Oh, I forgot the name. He's just, I would like to go to the store again and procure a few things. Back to the cemetery, I guess.
If you want me to join you, I can.
Yeah, it's fine. Just do your own thing. Go spread death.
I will try my best.
He bows his head and returns to the upstairs and leaves your haven.
JK will contemplate for a second and then he will leave his haven as well.
Where are you going?
Just to find some sort of queue outside a bar or some place where there's a lot of people gathered. And then try to spread some plague.
In the middle middle of the night. I'm just thinking here. It is London, of course, so there will be people. I'm thinking like a pub about to close, or perhaps a Starbucks or something like that.
Just somewhere where people won't notice that someone quite creepy is being there.
Well, you're like a shark in the water, so.
Yeah, but alcohol does wonders.
I think do a composure and stealth,
Okay.
or a wits and stealth. Two.
2.
I'll keep that in mind. So you're simply gonna touch the first person you see?
Yeah, as long as there is somewhat of a crowd around. I just don't want to just go up and just touch someone.
Alrighty. Let's just look at this power to see what it does exactly. This is something, if you know what you're doing, it has a greater effect, as I recall. Medicine for... Okay. Okay, you need to roll intelligence and oblivion and arouse.
Yeah, and I get hungrier, and I had 4 successes.
Oh god. Suffers a number of diseases equal to the user's oblivion rating, so that's 4. What 4 diseases would you like to put in?
Oh no, I think that's how long it lasts, not how many.
Oh, never mind. That was scenes. Yes? What kind of disease are you spreading here? You get 2 stains, of course. For now.
Polio. Oh no, Spanish fever, because that's what JK would have grown up seeing.
Hasn't been around for a while, yes? Well, it, you simply just touch someone as you walk past them, and it does not take long before they start coughing and become quite pale. Other people obviously rush to that person to check if they're okay, touching them as well. You know what's about to happen. If the goal here is to loosen humanity, I think that's definite. If you want to. Otherwise, we have to do a remorseful roll at the end of the session. But this seems quite deliberate, and I think you also break one of your convictions, right? Giving into
Yes.
oblivion.
Which gives me another stain.
Yeah, it gives you another stain. Oh
Yeah.
lord, I'm gonna have fun with that the next session. JK has put something in place.
Yeah, then JK will just walk away, seeing that a lot of people are immediately going to the person's side.
And you are trying to dodge cameras and everything, and I assume you have like I assume competence, so I assume you have either a hood on or a cap or something to at least try to mask your identity.
Yeah.
Not that mortals would notice, but a certain sheriff might. Or Nosferatu, really.
Yeah, then JK will just head back to his haven. And use the rest of the night helping Morrigan,
Great.
if necessary.
So JK has created an outbreak of spirits and disease. Oh, I'm loving this, by the way. This is excellent story material for me. Yeah, don't think about this. This is not going to become relevant in any way, shape, or form. Yes.
Yeah, not even close.
I'm not even close.